Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. So we are going to continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 6. We have just finished chapter 3. We finished the Katha of Ajamil. We understood protection of the Lord, that anyone who once chants the holy name of the Lord is given protection by the Lord. So he's so compassionate. Ajamil was actually calling his son. He was not even intending to call Narayan. But Narayan is so compassionate, Krishna is so compassionate that he offered all protection to Ajamil. So now we are going to begin with chapter 4, the Haṁsa-guhya prayers offered to the Lord by Prajāpati Dakṣa. After Maharaj Parikshit appealed to Sukadeva Goswami to describe in further detail the creation of the living entities within this universe, Sukadeva Goswami informed him that when the Prachetas, the 10 sons of Prachina Barhi, entered the sea to execute austerity, the planet Earth was neglected because of the absence of a king. So we had heard, the Prachetas, they went to perform austerities, and then Lord Shiva, he instructs them and sings, he tells them the prayers that he sings in glory of Lord Krishna. So naturally, many weeds and unnecessary trees grew and no food grains were produced. Indeed, all the land became like a forest. When the 10 Prachetas came out of the sea and saw the entire world full of trees, they were very angry with the trees and decided to destroy them all to rectify the situation. Thus, the Prachetas created wind and fire to burn the trees to ashes. Soma, however, the king of the moon and the king of all vegetation, forbade the Prachetas to destroy the trees, since the trees are the source of fruit and flowers for all living beings. Just to satisfy the Prachetas, Soma gave them a beautiful girl, born of Pramlocha, Apsara. By the semen of all the Prachetas, Daksh was born of that girl. So in the beginning, Daksh created all the demigods, demons, and human beings. But when he found the population not increasing properly, he took sannyas and went to Vindhya mountain, where he underwent severe austerities and offered Lord Vishnu a particular prayer known as Haṁsa-guhya, by which Lord Vishnu became very pleased with him. The contents of the prayer was as follows. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Super Soul, Lord Hari, is the controller of both the living entities and the material nature. He is self-sufficient and self-effulgent. As the subject matter of perception is not the cause of our perceiving senses, so the living entity, although within this body, does not cause his eternal friend, the Super Soul, who is the cause of all creation of all the senses. So the subject matter of perception is not the cause of our perceiving senses. So it's not that the objects are creating our senses. Our senses are there and they are able to perceive the sense objects. Like the eyes are able to see the form. It's not the form, it's not creating the eyes. So the living entity is in the body. He is not the cause of the Super Soul. The Super Soul is the cause of all creation. Because of the living entity's ignorance, his senses are engaged with material objects. Since the living entity is alive, he can understand the creation of this material world to some extent. But he cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is beyond the conception of the body, mind, and intelligence. So because we are in the material body, we are not able to understand God, that God is the creator behind this material world, because our senses are all covered up now. They're covered with this material body, material senses. Nevertheless, great sages who are always in meditation can see the personal form of the Lord within their hearts. Since an ordinary living being is materially contaminated, his words and intelligence are also material. Therefore, he cannot ascertain the Supreme Personality of Godhead. by manipulating his material senses. The conception of God derived through the material senses is inaccurate because the Supreme Lord is beyond the material senses. But when one engages his senses in devotional service, the eternal Supreme Personality of Godhead is revealed on the platform of the soul. So we cannot understand God by our material senses, by our material mind, material intelligence. We cannot understand Him. But when we can hear about Him from the scriptures, when we can chant His holy name, when we can engage our senses in His service, in bhakti. So bhakti begins by hearing and chanting. Then the Supreme Lord reveals Himself by His mercy to us. When that Supreme Godhead becomes the aim of one's life, one is said to have attained spiritual knowledge. So we have so many aims, we have so many goals, but our supreme goal, Prema Pumartho Maha, to revive our love of God, Krishna Prema. The Supreme Brahman is the cause of all causes because he originally existed before the creation. He is the original cause of everything, both material and spiritual. And his existence is independent. So God has created. God existed before this material world was created. He is the one who is the creator, maintainer, and annihilator of this material world. He is the cause of everything, both material and spiritual. We exist because God exists. We are parts and parcel. This material world exists because God exists. This is energy. The spiritual world exists because God exists. That's his spiritual energy. However, the Lord has a potency called avidya, the illusory energy which induces the false arguer to think himself perfect and which induces the illusory energy to bewilder the conditioned soul. Yeah, under this illusion, we think we are right, but we may be very, very wrong. But the illusion is so much that we are convinced that we are correct. So this is the illusory potency of the Lord. The Supreme Brahman, the Super Soul, is very affectionate to his devotees to bestow mercy upon them. He discloses his form, name, attributes, and qualities to be worshipped within this material world. So out of his mercy, he takes up a form. He comes as the Archa Vigraha, so we can offer him worship. Unfortunately, however, those who are materially absorbed worship various demigods as the air passes over a lotus flower and carries the scent of the flower with it, or as the air sometimes carries dust and therefore assumes colors. The Supreme Personality of Godhead appears as the various demigods according to the desires of his various foolish worshippers. But actually, he is the Supreme Truth, Lord Vishnu. To fulfill the desires of his devotees, he appears in various incarnations, and therefore there is no need to worship the demigods. The demigods are also part and parcel of Krishna. He makes the faith strong of a particular person who has a particular attachment for a demigod. He makes him that faith strong. So the demigod is also part and parcel of Krishna. Krishna has created so many demigods based on so many desires of our worship, varieties of how we may wish to worship someone. Being very satisfied by the prayers of Dakṣa, Lord Vishnu appeared before Dakṣa with 8 arms. The Lord was dressed in yellow garments and had a blackish complexion. So Lord Vishnu is coming with 8 arms. Usually we hear him coming 4. This is 8, blackish complexion. Understanding that Dakṣa was very eager to follow the path of enjoyment, the Lord awarded him the potency to enjoy the illusory energy. The Lord offered him the daughter of Panchajana named Asikni, who was suitable for Maharaj Dakṣa to enjoy in sex. Indeed, Daksh received his name because he was very expert in sex life. After awarding this benediction, Lord Vishnu disappeared. Because also it's the duty of Daksh, he's a Prajāpati, he has to populate the universe. Yeah. So we're going to begin with the text 1 and 2, and let's see how it goes. Shri Rajo Vacha.
Shri Rajo
Shri
Uvacha.
Rajo Vacha.
Deva Sura Nirnam Sargo.
Deva Asura Nirnam
Nirnam
Sargo.
Sargo.
Naganam Mrigapakshina.
Naganam Mrigapakshina.
Mrigapakshina.
Samasikastvaya Prokto.
Samasiko Toya
Samastikastvaya
Prokto.
Prokto.
Yastu Swayambhuven Swayambhuve Tare.
Yastu Swayam Bhuvi
Swayambhuve
Antare.
Antare.
Tasyeva Vyasam Ichami.
Tasyeva
Tasyaiva
Vyasam
Vyasam
Ichhami.
Ichhami.
Gyatum Te Bhagavan Yatha.
Gyatum Te
Yatum Te
Bhagavan
Bhagavan
Yatha.
Yatha.
Anusargam Yaya Shaktya.
Anusargam Yaya
Nusargam Yaya
Shaktya.
Saktya.
Tasarja Bhagavan Paraha.
Sasarja
Tasarja
Bhagavan
Bhagavan
Paraha.
Paraha.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The blessed king said to Sukadeva Goswami, my dear Lord, the demigods, demons, human beings, nagas, beasts, and birds were created during the reign of Swayambhuva Manu. You have spoken about this creation briefly in the third canto. Now I wish to know about it elaborately. I also wish to know about the potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by which he brought about the secondary creation. So Parikshit Maharaj wants to know more about the creation. He wants to know how the Lord is also involved with the secondary creation, the Visarga. Shri Sutta Vacha.
Shri Suta Uvacha.
Vacha.
Iti samprashnam akarnyam.
Iti
Iti
samprashna
samprashnam
akarna.
akarnya.
Rajarshir Badarayanim.
Rajarishi
Rajashri
Badrayani.
Badarayani.
Pratinandya Mahayogi.
Pratinanda
Pratinandya
Mahayogi.
Mahayogi.
Jagada Muni Sattamaha.
Jagada Muni
Jagadamuni
Sattamaha.
Sattamaha.
Sutta Goswami said, O great sages assembled at Naimisharanya. After the great yogi Sukadev Goswami heard King Parikshit's inquiry, he praised it and thus replied. Shri Shuka Vacha.
Shri Suka Uvacha.
Yada Prache Tasa Putra.
Yada
Yada
Prachetas
prachetas
Putra.
putra.
Dasha Prachina Barhishaha.
Dasha
Dasha
Prachina
prachina
Barishaha.
barhisaha.
Anta Samudrat Unmagna.
Antah Samudra
Samudrat
Unmagna.
unmagna.
Dadarshurgam Drumeritam.
Dadarshu Gram
Dadrashugam
Druni Vritam.
Vritam.
Sukadeva Goswami said, when the 10 sons of Prachina Barhi emerged from the waters in which they were performing austerities, they saw that the entire surface of the world was covered by trees. So when King Prachina Bari was performing with Vedic rituals in which the killing of animals was recommended, Narad Muni, out of compassion, advised him to stop. Does anyone remember which story did Narad Muni tell him?
It was about the body. The one
Yeah.
who was like our body. I'm forgetting the name.
Yeah, he gave him
It
an
was,
analogous story.
and yeah, it was for the body, that our body is like how he compared it to a
Puranjan.
Yeah, oh yes, Puranjan,
Yeah,
yes. Oh,
Puranjan.
and
The living
Puranjani.
entity. Yeah.
Yeah, the living.
So the living entity who is bound inside the body. So Narad Muni didn't tell him, oh, Prachina Bari, what you're doing, stop it right away. No, he told him in a story form. And then Prachina Bari understood, Ari, this is me only you're talking about. This Puranjan is me. Then he understood,
Yeah.
oh, okay, what I'm doing wrong. So Prachina Bari understood Narad properly and then left the kingdom to perform austerities in the forest. His 10 sons, however, were performing austerities within the water, and therefore there was no king to see the management of the world. When the 10 sons, the Prachetas, came out of the water, they saw that the earth was overrun with trees. So Prachina Bari, he went to because he got the knowledge from Narad Muni, he understood, so he left the kingdom, he went away to engage in austerity. And then his sons, they were still performing austerities in the water. They had heard, they had gotten knowledge from Lord Shiva of how to worship the Supreme Lord. And now in their presence, there was no king. So it seems the trees grew too many. When the government neglects agriculture, which is necessary for the production of food, the land becomes covered with unnecessary trees. Of course, many trees are useful because they produce fruits and flowers, but many other trees are unnecessary. They could be used as fuel, and the land cleared and used for agriculture. When the government is negligent, less grain is produced, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 18.44. Shri Go Raksha Vanityam Vaishya Karma Swabhavajam. The proper engagements for Vaishyas according to their nature are to farm and protect cows. The duty of the government and the Kshatriyas is to see that the members of the third class, the Vaishyas, who are neither Brahmanas nor Kshatriyas, are thus properly engaged. Kshatriyas are meant to protect human beings, whereas Vaishyas are meant to protect useful animals, especially the cows. So it was the king's duty to make sure that everyone is doing their duty properly. But here the kings were not there. So nobody was there to tell the Vaishyas, oh, okay, you have to do the agriculture, grow the grains, clear the land. So, Drumebhya krudya manaste.
Drubhemya krodhyamanaste.
Tapo dipita manyavaha.
Tapodipati manyavaha.
Mukhato vayum agnim cha.
Mukto vayum agnim cha.
Sasrajustat didakshaya.
Susrajustadidikshaya.
Because of having undergone long austerities in the water, the Prachetas were very angry at the trees. Desiring to burn them to ashes, they generated wind and fire from their mouths. Here the word Tapodipita Manyava indicates that the persons who have undergone severe austerity, tapasya, are endowed with great mystic power, as evinced by the Prachetas, who created fire and wind from their mouths. Although devotees undergo severe tapasya, however, they are vimanyavaha sadhavaha, which means that they are never angry. They're always decorated with good qualities. So here, the Prachetas, they got these powers because they did so much austerity, so much power that they could create fire from their mouth, the wind from their mouth. Prabhupada is mentioning the devotees also do tapasya. They don't get angry. Bhagavatam 3.25, verse 21 states, Titikshava karunika surida sarvadehina ajata shatrava shanta sadhava sadhu bhushanaha. So this is the qualities of a sadhu that Bhagavatam is saying. Canto 3, chapter 25, text 21. Kapila Muni is saying, what are the qualities of the sadhu? Titikshava, that he is very tolerant. Karunika, he is very merciful. Surida Sarvadehina, he is a best friend of all living entities. Ajata Shatrava. He has no enemies. He's peaceful. So he's always forgiving. So these are the qualities of a sadhu. A sadhu, a devotee, is never angry. Actually, the real feature of devotees who undergo tapasya, austerity, is forgiveness. Prabhupada is saying that one who's actually done tapasya, his heart becomes soft. He is able to forgive. That's the real feature, Prabhupada is saying, that a devotee is forgiving. Although a Vaishnava has sufficient power in tapasya, he does not become angry when put into difficulty. Any example? Forgiving, they didn't become angry when you're put in difficulty.
Prahlad Maharaj? Or you
Prahlad
Prahlad
Maharaj,
Maharaj.
yes. Yes,
Jad
Prahlad.
Bharat.
Jar Bharat, yes. Jar Bharat, yes. I could remember Ambarish Maharaj.
Yeah.
He didn't take any offense from Durvasa Muni. He said, no, I didn't, you didn't commit any offense.
Even
So
Yudhishthir Maharaj, is it?
Yudhishthir, yes. Yudhishthir Maharaj, yes. Yes. If one undergoes tapasya but does not become a Vaishnava, however, one does not develop good qualities. If one undergoes tapasya but does not become a Vaishnava, however, one does not develop good qualities. So Prabhupada is giving the example. What is he trying to say? For example, Hiranyakashipu and Ravan also performed great austerities, but they did so to demonstrate their demoniac tendencies. So one may do austerities, but it's when the devotee who does austerities, he gets all these beautiful qualities of the sadhu. All these beautiful qualities, these are the ornaments of the sadhu. Forgiveness, tolerance, best friend of every living entity. He's peaceful, forgiving. But when one is demoniac and he engages in austerities, he can misuse the power. Misusing. Vaishnavas must meet many opponents while preaching the glories of the Lord. But Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu recommends that they not become angry while preaching. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given this formula, Trinadapi Sunichena, Tarorapi Sahisnuna, Amanena Manadena, Caitanya Sadahari. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. So Lord Chaitanya has told the devotees, don't become angry, but you preach with all humility. Give all respect to others and don't expect any respect for our own self. This is what Lord Chaitanya is saying. And if we can be able to do that and be more tolerant than a tree, be more humble than a grass. And Lord Chaitanya is saying if one can do that, then one can chant the holy name constantly. And how can one come to this position? By chanting the holy name constantly. When one really actually chants the holy name constantly, then one can actually apply this principle of Trinadapi Sunichena. One can exemplify these qualities of tolerance, of humility. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. Those engaged in preaching the glories of the Lord should be humbler than grass and more tolerant than a tree. Then they can preach the glories of the Lord without difficulty. Any examples that come to mind?
Thakur,
Tolerance, humility.
Haridas
Haridas
Thakur.
Thakur, yes. How?
Prahlad Maharaj.
Because they were hitting him. They hit him so much in the
Yeah.
Bais Bazaar, but still he said that just forgive them. He was so tolerant and he was still chanting. They asked him not to chant. If you chant, then we are going to kill you. But he never gave up chanting, and he just tolerated all the abuses and the hitting that they gave. And then in the end, he prayed for them.
Yeah. Yeah, he kept praying. That's right. Thank you. And you said Prahlad Maharaj, is it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Prahlad
Prahlad
Maharaj.
Yes, tolerant. Yeah, that's right. His father did so many atrocities on him that he was tolerant. Yeah, so these are the
Even
qualities.
Kunti Devi,
Prabhu,
Kunti Devi, that's right. Tolerant, very tolerant.
Nityanand Prabhu,
Nityanand Prabhu, that's what the example was coming to my mind. Which pastime is specifically?
that is when what are the two
Jagai and Madai.
Jagai Matai, no? So
Yeah,
when Jagai, I think, threw the stone, right? Something on
yeah,
Nityanand Prabhu, and he still didn't retaliate. He just said, chant Haribol, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and he wanted to kill him, right? I mean,
yeah,
and
yeah. He
Nityanand
wanted to
Prabhu
kill,
said,
yeah,
yeah, and Nityanand Prabhu said, don't, he stone will
yeah,
not come here to, to kill
yeah,
anyone, but to uplift, right? Like try to,
yeah. He said you've come to kill the demonic tendency of people. Like otherwise, if you start killing, then you have to kill everyone. And he said you promised you're not gonna take any weapons. Yeah, that's right. Thank you.
Hare
So
Krishna.
tolerance and humility. Hare Krishna.
I just wanted to add here, when we are trying to be more tolerant and we don't get affected much, uh, I think somehow, I'm not sure if I may be right. I come to realize that when I have been a little tolerant at times, if I try to, I I feel sad for that opposite person. I feel that maybe their mindset is such and they are so disturbed. I don't get affected that time, but I feel, oh, they are so disturbed and they need help. So,
That's
so
right.
it helps me to, yeah, and I feel uh, I should also be careful and try not to be disturbed. And that helps me to and motivates me more to chant that
Very good.
God, please have your mercy on me and help me to not, be that disturbed that I offend others. So it just helps a lot more then. So being more tolerant, you understand others and also you try to, purify yourself more. So we have to continue to chant. Yes. Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
That's all right. Yeah. Thank you. And because somebody's so disturbed, that's the reason they are being so offensive. Yeah. So true. Tabhyam nirdayamana manam stan
Tabhyam nirnayamana
San.
upalabhya kurudvaha
upalabhya kurutah
Kurudvaha.
rajo vacha mahan somo
rajuva
Rajuvacha
somo
Mahatmo.
manyum prashamayan iva.
manyum
Manyam
prashmayuva.
Prashamayan Iva.
My dear King Parikshit, when Soma, the king of the trees and predominating deity of the moon, saw the fire and wind burning all the trees to ashes, he felt great sympathy because he is the maintainer of all the herbs and trees. To appease the anger of the Prachetas, Soma spoke as follows. So who created the fire and the wind?
Their anger,
Prachetas.
Yeah, the
and
Prachetas. Yeah, the
Pracheta,
Prachetas due to their anger. Yeah.
Pracheta,
And what? Yeah, and what are they burning?
the trees.
Why?
They were angry.
Why are they burning the trees?
Because they were angry to see so
There were
many
too many.
trees.
Yeah.
So
There
many
were too
Everywhere there were
many.
just trees, trees, trees.
Yeah.
And then, as we also read, that if you're not a devotee, then out of your tapasya you can get angry.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So as Deepika just said, that we also need to chant so we don't get disturbed, and in turn we don't offend others. That was a very nice thing. So it is understood from this verse that the predominating deity of the moon is the maintainer of all the trees and plants throughout the universe. It is due to the moonshine that trees and plants grow very luxuriantly. Therefore, how can we accept the so-called scientists whose moon expeditions have informed us that there are no trees or vegetation on the moon? So Srila Prabhupada is putting up this question that the modern scientists are saying there is nothing on the moon is barren, whereas the deity of the moon is in charge of all the vegetation. Does anyone remember something to this reference in Bhagavad Gita?
Yeah, Krishna says that I am
Mhm.
the moon, the light of the moon, that the
Yes,
rus, the rus that
yes,
gives to the plants. I am
yeah,
that. Krishna
yeah,
says
that
that.
makes the vegetables and fruits
Veg-
so
so tasty.
tasty.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Somo Vrikshadhishthata Sa eva vrikshanam raja. Soma, the predominating deity of the moon, is the king of all vegetation. How can we believe that the maintainer of vegetation has no vegetation on his own planet? So this is a question that Prabhupada is putting in front of everyone, because he's the king of vegetation. How come his planet has no vegetation? Na drumebhyo mahabhaga
Na drubebhyo
Drumebhyo
mahabhaga
Mahabhaga.
dinebhyo drogdhum arhata.
dinebhyo
Dinebhyo
drugdum
Drugdum
arhatah
Vivardhayishavo yuyam
vividhayishavo
Vardaicho
yuyam
Yuyam
prajanam pataya smritaha.
Vajanam
Janam
pataya
Pataya
smritaha.
Smritaha.
O greatly fortunate ones, you should not kill these poor trees by burning them to ashes. Your duty is to wish the citizens, prajas, all prosperity and to act as their protectors. It is indicated herein that the government or king has the duty of protecting not only the human beings, but all other living entities, including animals, trees, and plants. No living entity should be killed unnecessarily. So it's not that the king has to protect only the human beings. Even the animals are the citizens of the state. Even the trees and the plants are the citizens of the state, and everyone needs protection. Aho Prajāpati patir
Aho Prajāpate
Pati
Pati
Bhagavan Harir Avyaya
Bhagavan Hari
Bhagavan Hari
Avyayaha
Avyaya
Vanaspatin Oshadhischa
Vanaspati
Vanaspatin
Odishya
Oshadhischa
Sasarjojam Isham Vibhu.
Sasarjam Bhojyo
Jam
Isham
Isham
Vibhu.
Vibhu.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead Sri Hari is the master of all living entities, including all the Prajapatis, such as Lord Brahma. Because he is the all-pervading and indestructible master, he has created all these trees and vegetables as eatables for other living entities. So who's speaking this?
This is the moon god. So
Yeah, the moon god. And who is he saying that? Who is the master of everyone?
Purushottam Bhagwan, Krishna.
Yes, yes, yeah. So here we can see that the demigod, the Lord of the moon, he is saying that Lord Hari is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Soma, the predominating deity of the moon, reminded the Prachetas that this vegetation had been created by the Lord of Lords to provide food for everyone. If the Prachetas tried to kill them off, their own subjects would also suffer. for trees are also required for food. Anam chara nam achara.
Anam charanam
Hare
achara.
Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Yeah.
So is it that too many trees was a requirement and that's why it was there? Was it being taken care by God or what? What?
Well,
Uh,
the deity of the moon is saying that you don't unnecessarily kill the trees because the trees are also created by God. But let's see how the pastime unfolds.
okay. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's his argument that, you protect the trees are also your citizens, and trees are created because they are food for other living entities. So why are you doing
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, but isn't it that, I mean, they were doing kind of austerities, which was not really chanting, right? So
Well, we
then
did
how
hear,
come? Yeah,
how come what?
yeah. No, I mean, I was like, they weren't chanting, they were, doing some kind of austerities in the sea. That's not really chanting, right? So wasn't it going away from the duty of taking care of the land? And then God still helped them by
Because
having too many
the
trees. Yeah.
Prachina Barishat had told them that before you become the king, it used to be like that before people would become kings, they would do austerities, like even Lord Rishabdev was telling his sons, you know.
Yeah.
So that to prepare them so that they could take care of the kingdom properly. But now the sons had gone away, and then Narad Muni comes and then he preaches to Prachina Barishat, and he's like, okay, I'm going to the forest right now. So there's no king.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Okay.
Hare
Things
Krishna,
happen.
Shilpa ji.
Yeah,
So it is the same one when Lord Shiva gave them the
that's right.
instructions, right? It
That's
was
right.
Lord Shiva
Lord
who
Shiva.
instructed them, right?
That's
That
right.
we have
Yeah.
read before the whole instructions. The Lord
Yeah, the
Shiva has
prayers
given the,
chanted by Lord Shiva. The prayers
yeah,
chanted by Lord Shiva. And where he's
okay.
praising Lord Krishna, and where he's
Hmm.
stating the super excellent position of Lord
Yes.
Krishna. And he's telling them that you pray in this way.
Hmm.
He was teaching
By
them.
going in the sea, is it?
They were in that lake. They
Yeah.
were in that
Okay, in the
lake.
lake. So
Yeah.
they Lord Shiva had asked them to go into the lake, is it?
I'm
Narad
not
Muni.
sure if he asked
Nar.
them to go
Actually,
in the
Narad
lake.
Muni asked them to just
Okay.
do the tapasya, but I'm not sure about the lake, that why they went
Okay.
Yeah,
into the
it's
lake.
just that
Oh,
Lord Shiva appeared there, and then he gave them the
He
instructions.
instructed.
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
Well, people used to do austerities in lakes and rivers also, like Saubari Muni was doing austerities inside the river. These great rishis and these great, sometimes these are kings. So they've also gotten these powers that they can live inside the water for so many years
Okay.
by the strength of their austerities. But that's
And
not
then
the
they get the
point.
siddhis, right? Yeah.
Huh?
Then
What?
they get the siddhis by doing
Siddhis,
these.
that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. But let's see how the pastime unfolds.
Yeah.
Hare
Yeah.
Krishna, Shilpa ji.
Hare
I
Krishna.
just wanted
Yeah.
to add one more thing to this. What you mentioned, that in the
Huh.
older times, the king used to ask their children to go and do tapasya. So in the
Huh.
practical world, I just came across an example that there was this diamond merchant from Surat, and he's a very
Huh.
big diamond merchant. And then when their son completed 21 years of age, every son, even he himself, did it. So every person, every boy in the family, they just give them 45 days, and they just give them 5,000 rupees. And
Huh.
in that 45 days you just have to travel, and they just tell them that now you have to be in Bangalore, you have to be in Calcutta, you have to be in this city, because and then you can't take a job more than a week.
Hmm.
So then that was that he was sharing his experience, that how it happened. And then he said that I got the value of everything, that even
Mm,
1 rupee is so valuable. And I just had,
mm,
and when I earned 15,000 in that few days, I got to know that how can I give my employees so less? How will they live their
mm,
life? Their children, they
mm,
have children, the food is so expensive. They need to travel
mm,
sometime. They need to save for their future. There might be some
mm,
emergency. So he was being thankful to his family that they gave them
mm,
this experience, because he became more humble, he became more thankful for what he has, and then he could connect more better to people and his staff. Like he could be a better
mm,
person to take care of,
mm,
rather than just taking everything for granted.
mm. Very
So I
good.
really liked it. So like what you
Yeah.
mentioned, this is
Mm,
coming from there, that how you see the life,
yeah.
it is very, very important to get into the
Mm.
shoes first.
Yeah, yeah, to get the to be able to be prepared to take the responsibility.
Yes, yes, yes.
Mm,
Because with the
yeah,
power comes great responsibility. So if you're
yeah.
born with a silver spoon, you still need to know that what the reality is, because you have a lot of power
Mm,
and you have a lot of money. So how to
mm,
put that in? I really liked it. Like that boy explained everything, his journey, what had happened and how he
mm,
felt. And
nice.
yeah, so this is
Very
from
good.
this. I could connect to it. Yeah,
Oh, very good. Very good.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So thank you so much, everyone. We'll stop here for today.
Okay.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare